Hello, everybody. It is Friday, the 31st of July, and I want to talk one more time about the wheel of Nasara, the wheel of suffering, and how to get off it, and that the truth, show you the truth that will actually set you free, because that truth is the light within you, which is the knowledge of right, of doing good. And that knowledge is within you. It is a knowledge that is being distorted or overridden by a different program, by the program of the Archons, if you want to call them that. Just call them Archons so we have a word that we can use. Now, the reason why there is suffering in this world is quite simply because we are not standing in the truth that is within us. We're compromising. We are overriding it sometimes. And I think there are many that are that programmed that that truth is not even coming through anymore. That is the veil. The program is the veil. It is the fork through which truth can no longer be seen. So what is actually the truth inside of us? And that is our knowledge of good and bad. That is quite simply it. Now, I had well, now let's start with our knowledge of good and bad. And here comes really the 10 Commandments. We know you shall not kill, you shall not lie, you shall not steal, you shall not even desire that which belongs to somebody else. Don't take their wife, don't commit adultery, or the husband, depending on what you are. Those are things we knew as truth. We're being led away again, even from that truth at the moment, because people are telling you that is the law of Yahweh. That is not the law of Yahweh. How can it be the law of Yahweh? If that is his law, then he broke his own law 5 minutes around the corner when he commanded the people to go into land, slaughter the people, and take what is theirs. So where did this law come from? It is not Yahweh. I tell you what that is your conscience. That is your inner knowing. That is the light within you. People say it is the law of Yahweh because it says, I'm a jealous God. And I will, what does it say, punish the iniquities of the father until for the next 2 generations or something like that. Sorry, I should have looked it up, the real wording, but it says something like that. Your conscience should be the highest God. And your conscience should be a jealous God. And there should be no other God before it. And you should do according to it. And yes, the iniquities of the fathers. That is not a jealous God punishing. That is cause and effect. It is just stating a fact. You are indoctrinating your children and your grandchildren into a lie, then that lie will affect them, will affect their lives, will direct their lives. So no, that is not revenge or punishment. That is just stating a fact that you should be aware of. Your own iniquities do not only affect yourself, but they will affect your children and grandchildren. So, the light within us, the knowledge of good and bad, and yes, our conscience, which should be a jealous God, and there should be no other before it. The I am. Now, and suffering is caused by us going against what we know is right. We're going up against it. What is right should lead to life, should lead to joy, should lead to, peace, maybe even. Feeling of peace and joy and goodness. We go up against it, it creates suffering. And it is us, that is to say our higher self, that is directing all of these things. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the body. The body is just the vehicle. It does not direct its own affairs. If it did, if you had a zombie, no more driver, it would eat, drink, have sex, and sleep. And that is all it would do, because that's all it knows, according to itself. That is according to the body. Anything else beyond that. And the body will not eat or drink more than it's good for itself. Anything else beyond that is driven by a desire that is not of the body. That is the driver, that is yourself. And that is what causes suffering. But I want to talk about the real. That is here and now, where you should see the truth, where you should know the truth. That is within you, through gnosis, through looking within, through hearing the voice of your own truth, which for many is veiled to a point where they do no longer hear it. So that is the real I want to talk about again. I had a comment saying, I'm suffering in this life now through illness and other things. I would not have chosen that for myself. And I would say you don't know that. And I show you a way here by which you could have easily chosen that, especially if you are a follower of Jesus. I want to show you this here. Again, what is happening in this world is not disconnected from what is happening, let's say, above. Let's call it above. It is directed by above. Consciousness creates reality. Whatever is happening created by your consciousness. And what is your consciousness doing? That is the question. So if you see nothing, the material only makes consciousness visible, the actions of consciousness visible. If you want to see the higher level, you need to see that which drives the body, which creates the movements. I was thinking about soldiers and the experience of war. Now, most soldiers, these days it is a profession, and maybe they were driven into it by financial need. You need to make money, you might as well become a soldier if there's nothing else available to you. But wars before that, those were, a lot of them volunteered. First World War, most certainly. Volunteered, why? Because they were told there was an energy, words, a program running that said, that is the enemy. They are evil. Be a hero. Be patriot. Save your country. Save the women and children. And make the ultimate sacrifice if necessary. And it is good. That is good. Of course, there should have been an underlying law that said you should not kill. And some followed the law of the conscience, conscientious objectors. Of course, the powers that be were giving them a really hard time. That was an idea that shouldn't spread, that you should follow your conscience. But the rest of them was swept up in this energy of patriotism and glorious death on the battlefield or something like that. Something idiotic like that. That was the program that drove them into volunteering. Only once they were on the battlefield or in the trenches, they were confronted with the reality of war. The truth. There was nothing glorious about it. And many went insane, experiencing that truth. And those that came home afterwards maybe saw another truth, and that is that it saved nothing. Or the only change that their sacrifice had created was that the rich got richer, the powerful got more powerful. They didn't do it for the women and children. They really did not benefit from all of this. Only those that sent them. There's the false light. There's the false teaching. Yeah, the sacrifice. Sacrifice yourself for God, your country, the rulers, who are the representatives of God, obviously. And it is good. I don't know how long we've done this now. And we should see by now. I think we are waking up to the truth, that is not good. The truth was within us, and the truth was overridden by a lie. But once we create the material outcome, we experience the truth. That is why this life is a hard teacher. Yeah, it doesn't let you get away with mistakes. You will experience them. And you should correct yourself. You should return to the truth that is within you and be according to that. Now back to the comment. I would not have chosen this. But at the same time, they are proclaiming Jesus as, I don't know, the Savior, the one they follow. Jesus chose the path of suffering. I don't know if this is not clear in your head. He chose the way of suffering. He chose the way of the ultimate sacrifice in order to save. And even though he had another truth, he had the truth of life. Again, life, solid life, is only the depiction of a higher truth. There is no separation. And he had that knowledge, the knowledge of life, the knowledge of what would truly save life. Healing. Yeah. He had the ability to get away from his enemies. He had ways of getting out of danger. I'm not going into this now, but there's a passage where, if you read it, you could nearly call that supernatural. Well, you could call it supernatural. That wasn't done by physical means. So he had those capabilities. and he chose the way of suffering, and he overcame that other truth. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he had to pray that hard. The blood came onto his forehead to overcome the first truth, to agree to the sacrifice. Why? Was he promised that that would do something good? You know, there's a higher understanding. There's a higher understanding that knows this will lead to good. Jesus did trust. Did he believe? He went to the cross in obedience to a higher authority. Maybe even thinking that it would save this world, as we're being told. The sacrifice will save. 2,000 years, folks. We had 2,000 years. What did it do? Did it save this world? Or are you still sitting there waiting for it to happen, even though the evidence so far would suggest it will not? Oh, just not now. It will happen in the future. And we need another 2,000 years of suffering, but then Jesus' sacrifice will save this world. Or is it by now clear that it's not going to do it? It was a lie. That is the iconic lie. And here's really where the iconic lie really works. Here. And again, that is the separation of what you experience and what you know as truth, and then to say there is a higher truth that is different. Yeah, you just don't see it now. You're suffering, but you're not seeing the truth, how it's all good. Many actually are going on that path. They're suffering and they're grateful. Yeah. This is the will of God and it's all good. I just can't see it. Oh, no, the truth is within you. You're suffering, you're calling it bad. That's it. Hold on to it. That is the truth. You're experiencing it. It's proof. So you follow Jesus. You believe in that way. So then who says the archons cannot persuade you to make the supreme sacrifice of suffering, telling you that your sacrifice, your suffering will bring good? Who says you didn't trust and believe and went that way, agreed to that life? Now you're waking up now as the soldiers woke up in the trenches to the truth, because here you're experiencing it. And you're now saying, I would not have chosen that. Well, hold on to that truth. You've woken up. It doesn't say you were awake before you came, but you're definitely waking up now. Saying, I would not choose this. This is crap. This is wrong. This is not how it should be. Well, then become that truth, because the circle will start again. And if you stand in that truth, then the archons will have no power over you. That is the only thing. The truth will set you free. The truth will save you. Becoming the truth will save you. If you are becoming that energy of that truth, and that is who you are, and they will have no power over you. There is no words you can speak, because once you leave this body, you are your naked truth. That is what you are. You are your naked truth. And then there's no more words you can speak to cover that truth up or to change it. You are what you are. So you need to become it here and now. You've seen the truth. You see your suffering is no good. Then change. change now. Change your mind. Become a different energy, a different belief, a different being. This is why we are here to change. And this is why this life is showing us the truth. And the other thing that, this is the illusion, but the truth is something else. That is the archonic lie. So, you're leaving this body in death fully expecting to be enlightened to a higher truth. Well, there is something out there telling you that. There is no higher truth. This is it. You know. And I said, you quite possibly have chosen that. So the wheel to get off the wheel of samsara, you have to see the truth and become that. Doesn't mean you're getting out of the wheel of reincarnation, of life and death. That is eternal existence. You want to get out of existence altogether, be one with, you cannot be one with the monad because you are consciousness and the monad is beyond consciousness. So your consciousness has to die for it to become pure energy, nothing else. That's oblivion. Existence, eternal existence, is the cycle of life and death. So you want to stay in existence, have eternal life, eternal existence, and you have to stay on the wheel. But you have the way out of suffering is by staying in the truth and not to believe the archonic lies and to do according to them. And to stay in your own truth, you have to hear your own truth. That's the most important thing. You have to hear yourself. Many don't. To hear that voice is actually very, very hard. I find it hard. Because as I experience it, there's a flicker that your own truth will come up first. It always does. But it's most often only a flicker, and then it's instantaneously nearly overridden by the program. Your thoughts go back into the program and deciding according to it. So to catch this flicker of your own truth, and I think the more you listen out for that flicker of your own truth, the stronger it will get. But at the moment, it is very hard to hear yourself, to be aware of yourself, because there's so much energy that will sweep you away from knowing your own truth. So you need to train yourself to be that, to hear it and to be that and to become that fully. And that truth should be a jealous God. And there should be no other truth before it, no other God. But I say you have to look within. That is the way of gnosis. That is the way to the truth. That is the way away from the archonic lies. Now, I wanted to talk about David Icke and what he's up to. Sorry, the man just lends himself. I'm sorry. But what he's saying at the moment, his newest catchphrase: they don't care what you believe as long as you believe it completely. Yes, okay. And then David Icke goes around promoting Monroe's idea of the Loosh energy vampires. And you would get the distinct impression that David Icke believes in that completely. And then he says, well, the authorities are afraid of me because I've seen the truth. No, they don't care because you believe that completely. And they don't care what you believe as long as you believe it completely. What you believe, and I think he hasn't quite seen the problem. They don't care what you believe in as long as it is somewhere else. I think that is the truth. They don't care what you believe in as long as you believe that it is after this life, in the astral zone, in another dimension, in heaven, whatever you think it is. It is something outside of you that is creating and directing what you are doing. As long as you believe that, they don't care. That belief can take any form you like, any God you like, archons, interdimensional beings, it doesn't matter. They don't care as long as it takes your attention away from yourself. They start caring if you look within, if you truly look within to see yourself and to hear the voice of your own truth. Because that is the voice that they are ruling over, that they are suppressing. Once you listen, once you become a conscientious objector, they will care. As long as you spark religion or some belief out there, they don't care. But once you become a conscientious objector, they will care. Then they burn you at the stake. And once you become a conscientious objector, you actually become dangerous. Because the truth that is within you is within all. It is the truth of the all. And they will recognize it. If you shout it loud enough and it sinks into people's mind, they will recognize it. Because it is within them. And it will awaken the spark within them. That is why the truth is so dangerous. The truth of self. The truth of I am. I am the Lord your God. I am is the Lord your God. So no, I don't think they're terribly afraid of David Icke at the moment. I would say his idea of getting everybody afraid of Lush and Nabiji vampires is serving them just fine. So that is the way of the wheel, the truth will set you free from the wheel of suffering, not from the wheel altogether, but the experience will change. And if you have the chance of a good experience in this life, of a joyful experience, would you say, I don't want it? Would you actually say that? Is it that you're actually rejecting life? Or is your truth that you actually want life, just not this shit? Then it's not a question of getting out of life altogether, it's a question of changing it. And that change has to occur within yourself. And this is it. If you are standing here now and saying, I did not agree to this, well, you're here, you're doing it, chances are you did agree with it. But if you're now saying, this is wrong, this is your awakening. You're awakening up to the truth. Hold onto it, become it. And then once you are naked, you will be that truth. And they will have no power over you. You will not return onto the Okonic wheel. You will not, because it's not your truth. That's the only way out, as far as I can see it. Again, choices. Choices of what you can believe. Be a heretic. Listen to yourself. Listen inside of yourself. What sounds like truth to you? And then be true to yourself. Anyway, I leave it at that for today. And I'll talk to you again. Bye.